The 16th of December, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
What's the case that they're talking about? Oh, here comes Lou. Good morning. Welcome back, Lou.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
Okay, so we're going over the what we got so far in this Mishnah and this Gemara on Yud Beis Amud Beis. So the Gemara asks on the Mishnah, but Mayaskinen, what's the case over here exactly that the Mishnah is talking about? And specifically, the Gemara says, Ilema Kishachayev Moda. If we're talking about a case where the one who is responsible to pay is Moda, he admits to the fact that the loan document has not been paid back yet. So then, if there is in fact a provision for achrayis nechasim in the document, so why should we not give it back to the lender? What's the worst thing that can happen? So the lender will Rashi says he'll go to the buyer who bought these properties from the borrower, and he'll say, look, sorry, but these properties are on lien, so you'll I have the right to extract these properties from you, and your recourse is to go back to your buyer. So why? What?
Go back to your seller. So who sold it to you?
Go back. Yeah, go back to the seller. Yeah. Okay.
You trying to get in, Alan?
I just lost the internet.
You lost the internet.
Yeah, just went off.
Oh.
So hopefully come back on soon.
Okay, I'll tell the rabbi to look for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Alan lost his internet. So hopefully he'll try to get back in soon.
Okay. So, and then the Gemara says, if, on the other hand, we're talking about a case where the chayev, meaning the one that's got to pay back the loan, if he is not moda, meaning he doesn't admit that the money is still unpaid, meaning he's claiming that it was paid. If he's claiming that it's paid, so then why should it be that the Mishnah will then say that if the provision in the loan document does provide for the lender to go and claim property that was on lien for the payment, non-payment of the thing, of the loan. Even if it doesn't have such a provision, why should we not? Why should we give it back? Why should we give it back to the lender? Because hooray, the borrower has said that it's already been paid back. And even if he won't be able to get any property out of the one that bought from the borrower, but he shouldn't even be able to get any additional property out from the borrower himself, because the borrower claims that it was already paid back. So why should we give the lost document that we found in the street back to the lender? That's the Gemara's questions. So B'kitzur, the Gemara doesn't understand why the Mishnah makes the matter depend upon whether the loan document has this provision of achrayus nechasim. It shouldn't depend on that. It should depend upon whether the borrower admits that the document is still unpaid. If he admits, right? That's the worst question. Okay, so now we know what we're holding over here. And now we're ready to hear the Gemora's answer. The Gemora says la'olam. And la'olam could be found. It can be found. You just have to look for it. And where you want to know where to look for it, where does it say la'olam? The Gemora answers. This is going to be
in the art scroll. It's on 12b3, right hand column, second paragraph.
Okay, that's where it is. So we go to Roy to read la'olam.
Okay. Olam Kashirayav Modeh. Actually, the Mishnah refers to a case where the debtor admits that the debt is still owed. V'hakar Hakayenu Tama. And here, in the case of a note that contains a lien provision, the reason for not returning the note to the creditor is Shini Shema Katev Lelos son. The reason for not returning the note to the creditor is that we are apprehensive that perhaps the debtor drew up the note to borrow the money in the amount in the month of Nisan, so that Nisan is the date that appears on the note as the date of the loan.
Right.
Lana ad Tishri. But he did not actually borrow the money until 6 months later in the month of Tishri.
6 months later. Okay. And read the last few words. Ba'asi.
Turning over the page. Ba'asi le mitraf le kolchos shelo kadin. Thus, the creditor who will have been awarded custody of the note on the strength of the debtor's admission will come to unlawfully seize the ostensibly mortgage payment from the purchasers.
A mortgage payment? Why do they call it a mortgage payment? Okay. I don't know. Okay. Yep, but you got this. This is the scenario. The scenario was that the borrower, he drew up this document and he dated it in Nisan, but he didn't get the money. Actually, the loan wasn't actually made at that time. The loan was not made for whatever reason until Tishrei, a number of months later. So what's the problem with this? The problem with this is if you got a buyer that bought property from this borrower between Nisan and Tishrei, he's going to be in trouble over here. Because why? Because let's say he buys the property from the borrower in Tammuz. Tammuz is between Nisan and Tishrei. So at the time that he buys the property, he's not aware of any loan that's been made that would encumber the property that he's buying right now from the borrower. He presumably he doesn't know about this loan document because it was written up and dated, but it was not actually used because there was no money that was borrowed yet. The money was borrowed in many months later in Tishrei. But now when the money is borrowed in Tishrei and they don't want to spend any extra money to hire a sofer to write a new shtar, so they're going to say, we'll just use the old shtar. What's the difference? Well, this is going to put the person that bought the property from this borrower in Tammuz in hot water because the lender is going to pull out this shtar and say, look, the shtar says Tishrei. I mean, no. Sorry. The shtar says Nisan. And so this loan took place in Nisan, he's going to claim. That was before the borrower sold you this property that he owns. And so you were buying encumbered property that was meshubed to pay this loan. That's what it says in the shtar. The shtar says Nisan. So he's going to have a big problem, this buyer. And so that's what the Gemora is saying over here. Osi lemitraf lekuchos shelo kedin. We're worried about this scenario that the lender is going to take advantage of the situation and try to extract the property from this buyer. Shelo kedin. It's not allowed. He's not allowed to do that because the loan was not really made until what's his name? Until Tishrei. So therefore, this is why the Gemora says that even though it doesn't matter that the guy was moda, doesn't matter that the borrower was moda, because we're concerned about this possibility over here. And therefore, if there is a provision for achrayus nechasim, so we do not give it back to the lender. That's what it says in the Mishnah. Im yesh behem achrayus nechasim, lo yaksir. Okay. Do we have any Rashi? I don't think we have. Okay. Okay, so now we go further. The Gemara asks now a follow-up question. Ihachi. We go to Lou.
Okay, Ihaki. If so, that we are apprehensive that the drawing of the note preceded the actual debt, Kol shtarei de asu lekaman, then regarding all notes of indebtedness that come before us, i.e., which are presented to a court of law, nechush lahu hachi. Let us be apprehensive about them. i.e., let us be concerned in case of all notes of indebtedness containing a lien provision that the drawing of the note might have preceded the actual debt and bar the creditor from satisfying his debt from encumbered property. This is obviously not the case.
Why?
The Gemora answers, Kol shtare lo re-a. All ordinary notes of indebtedness are not flawed, i.e., there is no reason to suspect their genuineness. Therefore, since there is no reason to cast suspicion upon the note, we need not concern ourselves about the possibility that the drawing of the note preceded the actual debt. Hane re-a, but these notes dealt with in the Mishnah are flawed. The fact that they were lost casts suspicions upon their genuineness.
What? Why would that be?
That doesn't make sense to me because we said that he admitted. There's a footnote. You want me to read the footnote?
Let's read the Rashi before we read the footnote. Let's see what Rashi has to tell us.
Okay. Let's see.
Last Rashi on the page.
Hine roi.
Hani ri'e.
Hani ri'e, which means these are flawed.
These ones, in other words, these ones that fell, they are ri'e. They are no good. From the word ra. There's a chashash on them.
Right. Ho'il v'nafal asra diyesh lomar im haya kasher he nishar bo. Perhaps it fell. Asra is afterwards.
No, hoyel v'nafal, since we're talking about where it fell.
Oh, since it fell.
Isra. It puts a weakness in the validity of this document. From the word ra, Isra.
It's the same word. Okay. That there is to say, if it was kosher, we would return it to him.
Haya nizhar bo. He would have been careful with it, and he would not have just thrown it on the ground.
Oh, careful.
From the word zihirut. Carefulness, vigilance. If it was a kosher document, then he would have been vigilant with it, and made it his business not that it should find itself on the ground in the middle of the street somewhere.
So the supposition is that the lender had a document which had a bad date on it, and he knew that the date was bad, and so he wasn't careful with it, and he lost it. And now it's found, and the borrower says, yeah, it's legitimate. I owe that money. but the borrower doesn't know that the date is wrong. And so he doesn't complain. Is that the scenario?
I mean, the borrower, I mean, why doesn't the borrower pipe up and say it's not a good note?
Yeah. Why does he admit?
Well, his admission is not on the validity of the shtar. His admission, when we say moda, he's moda that he hasn't paid he hasn't paid it. He hasn't paid this loan back. That's all he's admitting to, really.
Right. So he's not concerned with the document. He's just the finder says to him, I need to decide what to do with the document I found. Do you acknowledge that this loan, that you owe this money? And the borrower says, yes, I owe this money. And now we're concerned. We still don't want to give it back to the lender because we're concerned that the lender is going to defraud the purchaser of the encumbered property.
Well, 1 second. Yeah, right. That's what we're saying in the Mishnah. We're saying we don't want to give it back. If it has one of these clauses in it, Achrayis Nachasim gives the right of the lender to go and claim property from the buyer, the one that bought from the borrower. We don't give it back because we're worried about this. We're worried about this. Right. I'm just wondering. There really is a reason why the loiva, the borrower, should want to pipe up and speak up and say, "Hey, this document is no good." And what's that reason? Because if this lender is going to be able to get the property from the buyer, now the buyer is going to, what is the buyer going to do? He's going to go to his seller, who's the borrower, and he's going to say, "You sold me property, but it was not a good deal because I didn't know about the fact that you borrowed money."
Right.
And he's got a good claim because the document itself really didn't get, I would assume it didn't get signed by witnesses except at the time of the actual giving over of the loan, not at the time that it was drawn up.
Right. So the borrower should say to the finder, "Well, let me see that document before I answer you. Let me see that document. Make sure that document is in order."
Well, this is all in Besdin. It's not a matter of the finder contacting the borrower.
The finder goes to the Beis Din and says, "What should I do with this document?"
Yeah.
Okay, and then the Beis Din calls in the borrower.
Right.
So I'm saying when the Beis Din calls in the borrower and says, "Do you acknowledge that this document is correct?" The borrower should say, "Let me look at it. Let me scrutinize it. Let my lawyer look at it."
Well, the truth of the matter is, right? If you want to know the truth is that if he's halfway awake, this guy knows that he drew up the document in Nissan, but he didn't give it to the guy until the guy gave him the money in Tishrei. So he knows as well as anybody that this is a bogus document.
Excuse me, I have to excuse myself for a second.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of lot to this story that needs to be pieced together. Actually, so what is going on here? Okay. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, maybe we should read this Tosus over here. Velo lova ad tishrei. The second to the last Tosus from the page. Tosus says, Pirish v'yata rotza l'lavos bo sheyesh lo torach lichtov shtar. Acher. Tosus is very magnanimous. He says, yeah, it's a tircha for this person to write up another star, and he's got this one available. And so even though it's really bogus, he's gonna sounds like he's got this this challenge over here about whether he's going to use this star. V'gam kedei laharviach pshiti desafra, and he wants to save the money that he'd have to pay the sofer to write it up. So he doesn't want to go to the trouble and the expense of having to write another star. So there's a very big challenge over here. In other words, Tosus is asking the question. He doesn't understand Tosus. He says, how did this happen over here? That they wrote up the document in Nissan and they used the same document to do the loan, even though the loan was 6 months later in Tishrei. Tosus says, well, I guess you'll have to say that it was a challenge for this lova to refrain from using this document, because he'd have to go to the bother and an expense of having to have a second document drawn up. Val ein lefarish shekvar loiva boy kodem shenofal. Oh, says Tosus, don't explain that the money was already loaned before the document fell in the street. That's the way we understood it. Don't say, says Tosus, avol ein lefarish shekvar loiva boy kodem shenofal. Don't say that the loan money was already given before this document fell in the street. In other words, according to our scenario, the loan document was drawn up in, that was step one, it was drawn up. Step two, the loan was made. And then step three, the document fell in the street after the loan was already made. Oh, Tosas don't explain like that. The imkain, because if that would be the case, that the loan was made before the document fell in the street, imkain, my mishani hani riye lefisha nafal. Because Tosas says, because in that case, what's the Gemora's answer when it says these documents are flawed because they fell? That's not any flaw in the document, says Tosfos, if it fell at that point in time. Now again, which time are we talking about over here? Do we have any time left? No, we don't have any time. Okay, so Saved by the Bell. We're in the middle of this Tosfos, but I see the Tosfos is dealing with this question. Maybe he's in other words, because we have to get to the bottom of this. What exactly is the undesirable aspect of this loan document on account of the fact that it fell? So I'll just leave you with that point. That's what Tosfos says. Tosfos, you can't say that the loan document fell after it was already paid. That's, I think, the way we explained it. It says Tosfos because in that scenario, there's no reason for us to say that the document is flawed on account of the fact that it fell. Okay. Okay, everybody, we'll pause for here. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Have a good day, Roy.
You too. Be well, everybody. Bye for now.
Amen.